Hello dear friends, this is Dr. Diptesh Patel and I'm teaching you Advanced Internal Combustion Engine. In this video session we are going to continue the chapter called Ideal Models of Engine Cycles. Particular for this video session we are going to see dual cycle and different types of the actual cycles. Actually in previous video session we have gone through the ideal Otto cycle, ideal diesel cycle, and now we are going to cover a dual cycle which is a combination of both of them. And also we are going to see how does the actual cycles looks like and what are the different losses associated in or during the process. So let's start with the dual cycle. Now dual cycle, as I said, it's a combinations of Otto and diesel cycle. So dual cycle is a thermodynamic cycle for high speed diesel and hot spot ignition engine. So it's a like the combustions would take place at both constant pressure and constant volume. It also consists of the reversible adiabatic compression process and reversible adiabatic expansion process, which are known as the isentropic compressions and isentropic expansion. Also it has a constant pressure and constant volume heat addition process and the constant volume heat rejection process. So it has a total 5 different processes: constant volume heat addition, constant pressure heat addition, constant volume heat rejection, isentropic compression and isentropic expansion. Now as you can see in the screen, the PV and TS diagram of the dual cycle. We'll see from process 1 to 2 indicates the isentropic compressions and the entropy would remain constant at that time. So it shows both PV and TS diagram. You can see both the process 1 to 2 in both diagram, where 1 to 2 is a compression process, pressure rise while the volume reduces from V1 to V2 while the entropy remain constant and the temperature is also increased. Then after process 2 to 3 is a constant volume heat addition process. At that time the volume would remain constant, heat is being added. Similarly, constant 3 to 4 pressure process 3 to 4 is a constant pressure heat addition process. Here heat is being added at constant pressure. Point 4 is the peak temperature of the cycle. Then we have the 4 to 5, which is a constant which is the isentropic expansion process. At that time the volume increase from V4 to V5, pressure reduce rapidly while the entropy remain constant and temperature is also reduces. 4 to and the last process, which is the process 5 to 1, which is the constant volume heat rejection process. During that time the heat is being rejected into the atmosphere. So this is PV and TS diagram of the dual cycle. Now let's go through the analysis of the dual cycle. So as I said, the heat is being added and 2 different processes: constant volume, constant pressure. So total heat is supplied in 2 different processes in between 3 to 2 and 4 to 3. So I would say Q1 is equal to CV T3 minus T2 plus CP T4 minus T3. Heat is being rejected at constant volume in between 5 to 1. So heat rejection is equal to CV T5 minus T1. The compression ratio, which is the rise of volume during the compression process, RK, that is V1 to V2, V1 divided by V2. Cutoff ratio, as I said, it's a constant pressure heat addition process, so the cutoff ratio is V4 to V3 and the pressure ratio is P3 to P2. Now if I have to calculate the thermal efficiency, I would say input divided by output. So here we have the input in 2 different forms: heat supplied minus heat rejections. So Q1 minus Q2 divided by heat Q1 we divide by heat supplied. So I'd say CV T3 minus T2 plus CV T4 minus T3 minus CV T5 minus T1 divided by CV T3 minus T2 plus CV T4 minus T3, and that can also be written as 1 minus T5 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2 plus gamma T4 minus T3. So that is the thermal efficiency of dual cycle. We are going to do a little bit more analysis to find the thermal efficiency. So for that we are going to we are going through the various processes. As I said, the process 122 is the isentropic compression process, uh, and we are going to use the isentropic relationship. It says T2 upon T1 is equal to V1 upon V2 raised to gamma minus 1, and we know that the V1 to V2 is a compression ratios RK gamma minus 1. In constant volume combustion process, that is takes place in between 2 to 3, where heat is being added. So here I'm going to write down P3 divided by P2, which is equal to T3 divided by T2, and that is the RP, and therefore T2 is equal to T3 divided by RP. Similarly, in constant pressure combustion process 3 to 4, V3 divided by V4 is equal to T3 divided by T4, and that is equal to T4 is equal to T3 into RC. That is a cutoff ratio. Then after we have the isentropic expansion process in between 4 to 5, and here we are going to use again the isentropic relationship. So I would say T4 upon T5 is equal to V5 upon V4 raised to gamma minus 1, which is equal to V1 upon V4 raised to gamma minus 1, or I could also be write down RK divided by RC raised to gamma minus 1, and therefore T5 is equal to RC into T3 into RC divided by RK raised to gamma minus 1. Now I'm going to use these all terms for the different temperatures and put those in the formula of thermal efficiency. So as I said, thermal efficiency is equal to 1 minus T5 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2 plus gamma T4 minus T3, and therefore if I'm going to put this value of T5 and T4 in this equation, I would say 1 minus 1 upon RK raised to gamma minus 1 inside the bracket RP into RC raised to gamma minus 1 divided by RP minus 1 plus gamma RP RC minus 1. So that is the thermal efficiency of the dual cycle. Now we are also going to see the work done and the mean effective pressure. So work done, the formula to get the work done is equal to P3 V4 minus V3 plus P4 V4 minus P5 V5 divided by gamma minus 1 minus P2 V2 minus P1 V1 divided by gamma minus 1. That can be written as P3 V3 inside the bracket RC minus 1 plus P4 RC V3 minus P5 RK V3 minus P2 V3 minus P1 RK V3, and the whole term is divided by gamma minus 1. That would become a common here. Then after, W is equal to P1 V1 into RK raised to gamma minus 1 inside the bracket gamma RP RC minus 1 plus RP minus 1 minus RK raised to gamma minus 1 into RP RC raised to gamma minus 1, and the whole term is again divided by gamma minus 1. So that is the work done for the dual cycle. Furthermore, let's go through the mean effective pressure as well. To get the mean effective pressure, we are going to use the formula called P1 V1 into RK raised to gamma minus 1, because we know that mean effective pressure is equal to work done divided by swept volume. So we are going to put the values of the work done straight away in this equation. So PM is equal to P1 V1 into RK raised to gamma minus 1 inside the bracket gamma RP RC minus 1 plus RP minus 1 minus RK raised to gamma minus 1 inside the bracket RP RC raised to gamma minus 1, and that is divided by gamma minus 1, and the whole term is again divided by swept volume, that is V1 minus V2. So now these equations can be rewrite as mean effective pressure PM is equal to P1 RK raised to gamma RP RC minus 1 plus RP minus 1 minus RK raised to 1 minus gamma into RP RC raised to gamma minus 1 divided by gamma minus 1 into RK minus 1. So that is the mean effective pressure of dual cycle. Now if I have to compare the efficiency of the various cycles with the different parameters, I would say if we have the same compression ratio and the same heat input, then the efficiency of Otto cycle is always greater than both efficiency of dual cycle and the diesel cycle. And if I have to put them in a term, I would say thermal efficiency of Otto cycle is greater than thermal efficiency of dual cycle, and that is also greater than thermal efficiency of diesel cycle. But if we keep the maximum pressure, then in that case the efficiency of diesel cycle is always highest than the others. So the second comparison is based on for constant maximum pressure and same heat input. If we have the maximum pressure, because we know that the Otto cycle has a certain limitations, we cannot increase the pressure of the Otto cycle because of the issues of detonation and knocking, and therefore in this category the efficiency of diesel cycle is always greater than the efficiency of dual cycle, and that is also greater than the efficiency of Otto cycle. For the third case, for same maximum pressure and temperature, in that case the efficiency of thermal cycle is again higher than the efficiency of dual cycle, that is also higher than the efficiency of Otto cycle. In the last case, for same maximum pressure and output, in that case the efficiency of diesel cycle is higher than the efficiency of Otto cycle. So this is what the comparisons of the efficiency of various cycles with respect to the different parameters. Now we are going to see the couple of actual cycle. As I said, actual cycles looks little bit different than the ideal one because of the certain losses. We are going to see these losses as well. You won't see any sharp edges here. You will see these edges are replaced by the curves because of the certain losses. So this is the actual Otto cycle, in which you will see 1 to 2 is a adiabatic compression process. 2 to 3 is a heat addition process at constant volume, then 3 to 4 is a adiabatic expansion process, and 4 to 1 is the heat rejection process. So the actual cycle is looks like something like that because of the losses, and the actual diesel cycle looks like that. See the PV diagram of the diesel cycle, where 1 to 2 is a adiabatic compression process, 2 to 3 is the constant pressure heat addition process, then 3 to 4 is a adiabatic expansion process, and 4 to 1 is a constant volume heat rejection process. So again you will see the curves here instead of the sharp edges due to the certain edge losses, and these are the losses which are associated with the processes, in which the first loss is losses due to dissociation. Now dissociation is a exactly reverse process of the combustion, in which the heat is being absorbed because of the formations of the CO2 into CO and O2, and also there is a little dissociation of the H2O as well. So it's basically absorb the heat into the engine, into the cylinder. Second one is a time loss. Time loss occurs during the initiation of the combustions, and that is also considered as the greater extent of the losses. Then third one is an incomplete combustion loss. We know that there is no possibility that we can achieve the 100% complete combustions. There is always a certain amount of the fluid or the portions of the fluid which would remain unburned. So that is also considered as a loss. While we consider these all, we assume these all, we do not consider these losses in ideal process. Then fourth one is a direct heat loss. Heat is being lost in through the various mediums, through the heat transfer, through the exhaust gases. So this is also a big loss. Then fifth one is a exhaust blowdown loss, where the amount of heat that is being lost during the exhaust processes. While sixth one is a pumping losses, we require the certain amount of the power to suck the fresh air and fuel mixture into the cylinder, and also required to push these gases out of the cylinder. So certain amount of the losses is associated with that as well. And the last one is a friction loss, in which the frictions occurs in between the relevant motions of the different components of engines, and that is also consumes certain amount of the power. So these are the losses associated with the processes, and because of that the actual processes looks similar, not similar to the ideal one, and you won't see the sharp edges, and there is always the losses of the or during the actual process as compared to the ideal one. So yeah, this is all in this video session. If you have any doubt, you can write down in the comment box. Thank you very much.